Today's video is a bit different, and the reason for this is that today is my 5th anniversary. So 5 years ago, I fractured my right talus bone, my right ankle, and my life changed in instant. Everything was basically different from that moment on. And if you have a serious injury, you know what I'm talking about. So 5 years ago, I went rock climbing with my friends, and what looked like a picture perfect day, it ended up pretty terribly. I fell. For the first few hours, I thought it was just a bad sprain and, everything would be completely okay in 2-3 weeks time, you know how it goes. But I ended up in the hospital. I needed surgery because I seriously fractured my right talus bone. So these 5 years, that was a journey. I learned a lot, and in today's video I'm gonna share with you a few huge lessons I learned. I have to say that it was kind of hard for me to choose the best ones because there were so many lessons, but I chose 3, and I know that these lessons will help you as well with your recovery. So fasten your seatbelt, because these 3 lessons can change your recovery for good in a positive way. So lesson number 1 is that the recovery takes time and patience, and a lot of it, like a lot of it. Recovery is not an easy journey. It takes a lot of time, and whatever you have in mind right now that you think that it's gonna take you, you are probably wrong about that. And I'm sorry to say that. I know that this is not something I would like to hear a few years ago, like 4 years ago or 5 years ago, but that's the truth. I thought that I would be okay in 3 months time. Then I thought that I would be okay in 6 months time. Then I was sure that in 1 year's time I would be running around with no problems, and it took me longer than that. So whatever you have in mind right now, know that probably you are a bit wrong and it's gonna take you longer. And I don't want you to feel discouraged. I'm not sharing this with you that, to discourage you or to bring you down. That's just the fact. And the thing that I also want to share with you is that a lot of the times I get questions about how I did it, how I managed to go through all the days and through years of recovery, and I still feel positive about it. I still have positive attitude about it. And here is a huge advice, really important advice, is that take it one day at a time and just focus on that day and on that day only. Don't think about the future. Don't think about what you're missing out. Don't think about what you should be doing. Just focus on yourself and on that day. And another thing is that try to find something positive in that day. This is how I went through my recovery. I was really focusing on one day at a time, and I tried to find something positive in that day about my recovery. I was looking for some subtle signs that were telling me that I'm improving. And every day you can find something like that, and this is really what's gonna help you. Because if you are thinking, and another thing is that don't think about a huge goal in front of you. I wasn't doing that, because if I would be focusing on something huge, I would probably feel overwhelmed, and when I feel overwhelmed, I just want to go in bed and cover myself and just wait for the storm to pass. And I cannot move forward when I feel overwhelmed. So I wasn't thinking about something huge. I was just focusing on baby steps that I knew are taking me further and closer to the finish line. So this is my advice to you regarding this, that the recovery takes time and patience, and a lot of it. Take it one day at a time, and try to find something positive in that day, and just try to find some subtle signs that are showing you that you are improving. Lesson number 2 is that the recovery is more about the inner work than the outer work. What is happening inside of you, your thoughts, emotions, feelings, everything in your conscious and subconscious mind have a great impact on your recovery. And please don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that the exercises are not important. I'm not saying that. Exercises are extremely important. I strongly encourage you to be consistent and persistent with everything that you do with your body. But you know, that's not all. That's not enough. If that would be enough, then everybody would have an amazing recovery. But you probably know that that's not the case. Not every person has a great recovery. And you know, it's not just about having the best surgeon or working with the best physiotherapist or doing all the exercises that you can do. If you don't do the inner work, you cannot expect an amazing recovery. And you know, it's if you have a lot of negative thoughts, if you don't believe in your recovered future, if you feel depressed, your body truly follows your mind. So if you're really in a negative space, it is harder to have a great outcome. And you know, I know that the recovery is a tough process. It's not an easy process. I'm not saying that you should suppress all those negative feelings and just act like everything is peace and we are happy and everything is unicorns and rainbows and hearts and hugs and smiles and that's it. I'm not saying that. But the magic really happens when you are able to transform these negative thoughts and emotions into something positive, to do something positive out of this. Or just to transform them into something else, or better to say, to work with them and go through this. And you know, sometimes it really, you really need help with that. Some people can do that on their own, and some people, they cannot do that on their own. So if you are in this situation that you don't know how to do this transformation, how to turn things around, ask for help, because you know, it is about your life. You don't want to risk it. So the inner work is extremely important. And another thing that I want to mention about the negative emotions and feelings and everything, you know, yes, go to that place, scream and kick and be sad and cry if you have to cry. It is a hard process, but you know, think about it like a dentist, like a visit to the dentist. You know that you have to go there, you just don't want to stay there for a few days or for a few months. And then finally, lesson number 3 is that there is more than one path to a great recovery. And what I mean by that is that, of course, there are some general rules that it is good to follow them, but if you have, for example, a step-by-step plan for the recovery, there are some things in that plan that you will have to tweak or that you will have to figure out on your own. You cannot take a plan, a step-by-step plan from someone else, apply everything to your recovery and think that it's gonna work like a charm. It's not gonna happen. And the reason for that is that if we think about the lesson number 2, it is a lot about the inner work, about the emotions and feelings and experiences and everything that is going on the inside. So you cannot be completely sure what was happening on the inside with that person. So there are some things that you will have to tweak and figure out on your own, and maybe do a different kind of inner work than the other person was doing. So know that yes, there is more than one path to a great recovery. And also what I'm saying here is that, you know, follow, trust your intuition. Whatever you feel inside of you, and if something feels okay with you, and if you feel that it might work for you for your recovery, go for it, even though you heard that this might not be a really good idea. I'm gonna give you an example, my example. So one of the examples is that I heard that I shouldn't be walking barefoot after my ankle fracture. And this is the majority of advice that you can hear about, is that yes, you have to have a great support, ankle support, arch support, and you shouldn't be walking barefoot. I felt that that wouldn't be the best thing for my ankle, for my recovery. So I was walking barefoot as much as possible. I was barefoot pretty much all the time. And I have to say that it turned out pretty well. My ankle and is strong, is flexible. I have arch again after the fracture. After a few months of not using my leg, I lost the arch. My foot was really flat, otherwise naturally I don't have flat feet. But yeah, I was trusting my intuition. I was following what I felt that would make best for my recovery, or how to say it. So trust your intuition, and if you feel that something might work for you, go for it, even though you heard that it might not be a good idea, because you're the only person that's gonna live with these consequences. You know, if they are positive, great, but if they are negative, you will live with that consequences. So it's better to follow your intuition, your mind, and live with your decisions than to think about, oh my gosh, so would my life be different if I wouldn't be listening to that person or that person or that person, and if I would be following my intuition? So think about that. So these are 3 huge lessons, what I've learned in 5 years, and of course there were many lessons. It was pretty hard to choose just 3, but I hope this helps you, and if you think that this would help anyone else, please share it. And if you'd like to be a part of a positive community, if you need some positive support in your recovery journey, come and join us in the support group Injury Recovery BFFs. And of course, don't forget to download all the gifts. If you injured your ankle, then get access to the mini course 7 essential ankle exercises. And if you injured something else, get access to the audio training Secrets to Best Recovery Practices No One Talks About. And if you have any kind of questions about your recovery, if you'd like to know more about the recovery, your recovery, post it down below or send me an email. And the easiest thing is if you go to my website, download the gifts, I'm gonna send you the email, and then you can reply to that and send the question that way. So that was for today. I'm wishing you the speediest recovery possible, and I'll see you really soon. Bye bye.